video, when suddenly a chill came upon me, a breeze that I couldn't quite explain or understand. I felt it in the core in my bones as it shook me. And in my ear I could hear a buzzing sound, a sound I couldn't quite make out. And then a quick shadow crossed my mind. I had left my window open and my fan was turned on. If you don't know what NoirVember is, then you clicked on the right video. If you already know what NoirVember is, then you still clicked on the right video, because I'm going to give you a few of my favorites and my recommendations later on, and it's perfect timing because the Criterion sale is going on at Barnes & Noble right now, and you can get 50% off on all Criterion discs throughout the entirety of NoirVember. Okay, so NoirVember, it's a month-long challenge that us pretentious film fans take on as a badge of honor, and we try to watch as many noir films as we possibly can throughout the month of November. But really the idea is to spark conversation and engage in online discourse to celebrate the genre of noir films. Sorry, did you say genre? Okay, it's not a genre, it's a style, it's a mood, I don't know. We're not getting into this argument yet, okay? Whew. So, when you first think of noir films, you think of hard-boiled crime dramas with dark, brooding characters narrating over top on their revenge mission. I mean, that's what I kind of think of, at least. But what actually constitutes as a noir film is actually a complicated answer. I mean, noir commonly refers to a cycle of films that came out through the 1940s and 50s that were American crime films defined by their dark, cynical tone and striking visual style. Think shadowy alleyways, rain-slick streets, and characters who are morally gray at best. At its core, you'll usually find a flawed protagonist, a femme fatale, a sense of fatalism where everyone's trapped by their own choices or by fate, stylistic cinematography, with high contrast lighting, Venetian blinds, cigarette smoke curling in the dark, and as said before, voiceover narration. In other words, our hero guiding us through their deepest and darkest regrets in the most poetic way possible. But because these characteristics aren't necessarily exclusive to the noir genre, it has sparked debate over film snobs and cinephiles alike over what exactly constitutes as a noir film. I mean, in a way, noir is a direct reflection of the Great Depression, heavily influenced by the political state and the current culture and times. Not to mention, these films were very much stuck in the Hays Code era of filmmaking, which meant that movies had to have some sort of moral rightness at the end of every story. So any strange, erotic, ambivalent, or cruel themes had to be pared down significantly to fit within our rating system in America. So when it comes to movies that consider themselves to be a noir film today, you kind of have to alter your description a little bit, which is why we have things that are called neo-noir, or techno-noir, or country noir. There's a bunch of different types of noirs. You can look them up. Anyway, you see why this is so confusing and why it can be kind of difficult to categorize exactly what a noir film is. Maybe it's just me, maybe you don't find it all that confusing. Either way, you can always Google what noir films are out there and then just go watch those. Or on the Criterion channel this month, they have specific categories for noir films during Noir November. Anyway, we're going to go through 5 of my favorite noir films, and we're going to start at the bottom of that list. First up is going to be a film that I think is a great introduction if you've never seen a noir movie before. It's kind of the gateway drug, if you will, and that's because it stars Humphrey Bogart, whom you're familiar with from Casablanca. So, The Maltese Falcon. I have this beautiful 4K edition from Warner Brothers, which I have to reiterate. I know I've said this before on the channel, but when it comes to movies that are transferred to 4K from classic cinema, films from the 40s, for instance, I think that these deliver the best 4K upgrades possible. Because when something is shot on film, it has so much data in the film strip alone that when we're digitally transferring it into a 4K format, we're still not even scratching the surface of all of the pixels available. If they're preserved properly, which these big budget ones were preserved for the most part properly, they can be transferred in very high quality formats. Another key part of that is the fact that these movies were all shot on sets, indoors, with controlled lighting, proper exposure. They were well shot movies on high quality film reels. So They just look stunning on 4K. And these WB ones in particular, I've been really enjoying. Like the Casablanca, the Rebel Without a Cause 4Ks, those all look great. I know you didn't click on this video for other recommendations. I gotta stay focused. Humphrey Bogart plays a detective, and honestly, right from the beginning of this film, the first few frames you see of his detective's office and the exterior shots with these elaborate paintings in the background, they're so gorgeous to look at that it makes you miss classic high-budget Hollywood filmmaking production so much. But Humphrey Bogart's partner dies, and he has to investigate and discover who killed his partner, thus being a murder mystery, and he's seeking revenge for his partner. So, Maltese Falcon, recommend it. Next up on this list is going to be my first Criterion Collection entry on this list, which is a 4K copy of Double Indemnity, which stars Fred MacMurray as a salesman who approaches the door that ends up being the home of Barbara Stanwyck and her husband, and Barbara Stanwyck plays the ultimate femme fatale, luring him into a world of crime and wrongdoings that create this whole spiral of events that happen. It's a Billy Wilder film. It's beautifully shot with some of the most harsh classic lighting, like everything that we talked about in the intro, you'll find in this film, Double Indemnity. It has such good, hard-boiled dialogue that is wall to wall with just one-liners. Like, you could watch this movie over and over again and pull something new. Billy Wilder's Double Indemnity, check it out. That's number 4 on my list. Okay, next up on my list is number 3 is one that I actually don't own, regrettably. I don't know how I don't own this movie at this point. It's another Billy Wilder directed film, and that is Sunset Boulevard, which came out in 1950 and stars Gloria Swanson in one of the most groundbreaking female characters of all time. Her role as Norma Desmond is, God, it's got to be one of the greatest classic Hollywood roles of a femme fatale in one of these films. She is a washed-up movie actress who's a bit delusional and trying to reclaim the glories of her past, and she's hoping that this Hollywood writer that she's lured to her home will help her do that. This movie also takes place kind of in and around Hollywood and the film industry. Our main character is a struggling screenwriter who is living paycheck to paycheck looking for that next gig. And he used to also be a notorious writer, or he had really successful scripts, but the problem is the wages just aren't good enough, and he can't keep up. So now he's kind of phoning it in, and when he meets Norma Desmond, he's kind of mesmerized by the opportunities for story that could come from an interaction with someone like her. Anyway, I love this film. I'm going to kind of name drop that me and my wife got to go see the Broadway play in New York earlier this year, which had Nicole Scherzinger from the Pussycat Dolls in the role of Norma Desmond. And oh my God, was it not phenomenal? That sparked me to revisit this movie again and remember how fantastic this film is. But actually, you should also go check out the music from the Broadway play, because the music is really strong. It's written by the dude that did Phantom of the Opera, whose name is totally slipping my mind right now. But there's some of the strongest, most memorable music. Like, I haven't even really listened to it on my own since I saw the Broadway, and I can still remember the Sunset Boulevard song. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the movie. You should watch Sunset Boulevard, and you should listen to the soundtrack to the Broadway afterward, because it's so fucking good. All right. Okay, number 2 on my list is another Criterion Collection film you can pick up during the sale, and I have it in 4K. That is The Big Heat, which is from the year 1953. So we've actually done these in chronological order so far. Look at me. Didn't even plan that. Starring Glenn Ford and Gloria Graham, directed by Fritz Lang. It's only 89 minutes, so it's quick. But this is probably the most overtly noir film that I have on this list. Our main character, he's a detective, of course, and he has a very optimistic and loving kind of home life with his wife and his young child. Through the first 30 minutes of the film, he's kind of starting to discover like how corrupt the police department is that he works for, and how no one else seems to be willing to do anything about the biggest kind of crime gang that's running around the town. So he decides he's going to get involved. Well, when he does that, it has enormous repercussions and starts to impact his home life, resulting in one of the most intense, hard-boiled revenge stories in a noir film that I have seen. Glenn Ford is so good in this. If you could buy one of these films, buy this one. 50% off. Get it, 4K, boom. Okay, before I get to my number one on this list, I wanted to go over a few of the films that I am going to try to be watching this NoirVember on my list. Films I haven't seen. Detour from 1945. Laura, film from 1944, which I've read is kind of in the debates of whether or not it's a noir film. I don't know, but we're going to watch it. The Asphalt Jungle from 1950, one that I have been eyeballing for a long time. I need to get around to watching. And probably the number one pickup that I'm going to try to get to the quickest is Gilda from 1946, starring Rita Hayworth. Those are some of the films I'm going to try to get through. Hopefully I can get through one a week throughout the month. I'll try to add in extra, though, because if you guys can recommend some to me, I'm going to be doing some sale hauls this month at Criterion. Put some in the comments. I would love to pick up some of those movies or check out some of those movies if I can. Because, yeah, it's NoirVember, baby. I'm going to be watching some noir films. Okay, so getting to our number one, I wanted to go a little bit more modern. The first four on this list were classic noir films, but we can't disregard the modern noir films on this list. So when you move forward through time, you have neo-noir, which has films like Chinatown or LA Confidential, Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne, which is a fantastic movie that I just watched this year. Highly recommend that one. And then you have things like sci-fi noir, like Blade Runner. Anyway, the list goes on, and it can go forever here. But my final pick, I guess my number one pick on this list, which, like I said, don't pay attention to the numbering here. I just wanted to pick something modern to end this with. Robert Rodriguez, Sin City from 2005. I feel that this movie encapsulates all of the essential ingredients of a noir film in a way that a lot of other neo-noirs don't necessarily. Obviously, the first thing being that it's in black and white. Harsh, stylized lighting, and its entire design is so overly stylized, which feels like a modern progression of what the original kind of classic noir film style was, but just kind of re-envisioned for the modern era. Based on great source material by Frank Miller, the script is rich. All of the narration is just perfectly poetic and brooding and dark and cynical, which is exactly what you need from a noir film. And it's obviously got a lot of eroticism and sexuality in it as well. And then, of course, being that it's a crime story with so many seedy characters, with violence, it is just, to me, a perfect depiction of what the noir genre was, but modernized into today's climate. Sin City is a fantastic film. I highly recommend it. You've probably seen it, though. Anyway, that's my list of noir films for the month. Go watch some NoirVember movies, and in the meantime, follow me on Letterboxd because I'll be updating every movie I see throughout the month. All the new Criterions I pick up and all the NoirVember flicks that I watch will go there. Click like, subscribe, check out the other videos I have on the channel. I love you, and we'll see you in the next one.